I am Unubold. So I am an instructor at MIU, and also I'm an AWS certified solutions architect professional. And today I'll be talking about building modern apps in the cloud in minutes. So that we will during this session, we will create one script. Yes.
Building modern apps in minutes in the cloud.
Okay. Renuka, maybe it would be better if you mute some of the participants.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll do that.
Because there is lots of interruptions. Okay. So we will talk about building modern apps in the cloud in minutes. And then I'm Unubold. So I'm an instructor at MIU and also a certified AWS certified solutions architect. So today's agenda is we will talk about the cloud first. And then I will also talk about GraphQL. And then I'll talk about this AWS Amplify tool, and we'll show you how to set up a full stack application during this demo. Okay, and then we will take the questions at the end of the session. Okay. Okay, let's talk about what is the cloud. So cloud is everything in this world is a system. So system is, it has some inputs and it does some processing and it returns it gives you some results like input, process, and produce something. So just like a function that we write. And cloud is similar. So cloud is a bunch of services. So service is service. So they take a parameter, they take some inputs. So first you want to do something in the cloud. So first is you have something and you want to achieve to something. And so first thing you do is you provide inputs, and that cloud service does some processing under the hood, and then as a result you get what you get. And cloud is a bunch of services, and services, as you already know, it's essentially this is one API that you make a call. Okay, and so here is some sample code that what it has is, so in this cloud, so I'll talk about the AWS cloud. So in this code snippet, so in the first row, we are importing AWS SDK. So SDK is, so you want to call an API like services programmatically, so you use SDK. So you import SDK, so which in this case AWS. And now the second row is in AWS, there are bunch of services. You have 200 plus services. So in this code snippet, what we want to do is we want to read all the records from database table. That's what we want. So in order to get all those records in that database, so we need to provide one parameter. So that parameter is table name. So which table you want to read those data. So that's what the third row is. And there is one action is being done by the cloud provider, by the cloud. That's the service name. And then you are scanning the whole table, and it will give you what you wanted. In this case, it returns all the records. So again, this is cloud is a bunch of service, and service is something that takes some parameters and then does some processing, and it returns something. So it returns something, or it creates the resources in the cloud. So that's essentially that's what the cloud is. If we give some technical description, and Okay, before moving on to the next slide, so we have like this one line here. Let me remove this. Cool. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. So this is like what the cloud is from technical perspective. But cloud is like, it's inevitable that it's like trending. So many companies are migrating their applications to the cloud. And let's look into that. Like, let's look into the cloud from business perspective. Okay, so benefits, one of the benefits that the cloud provide is you developer, so developers do less and they can achieve more. So that's the like one of the biggest benefits it provide, because some of the technical task that's done by the cloud provider. So all these biggest cloud providers such as AWS, Microsoft, and Google, like you name it, they hire the best software engineers in the world to build this cloud platform. Okay. So those experts
Muted yourself. Yep.
Okay, sure. So again, these cloud providers, they are the experts. They have the best engineers in the world, and they help you to build your applications, and they do some of the parts of your application. So developers only focus on the business logic code and some technical challenges. It's done by the cloud provider, the experts. So that includes, so based on the model that you are using, they handle patching your servers, managing servers. So they will do those works for you, and then developers only focus on this business application code. And as a result, so some of the tasks is done by the provider. As a result, business grows faster. Okay? These developers can achieve more things. So business grows faster. And from business perspective, there is another thing that all these businesses, they run these applications. So basically what they do is they have this bunch of applications. They sell that product to the clients, and then they make profit. Like that's how these businesses work. And if clients see some interruptions, like system error, 500 error. So from software engineering perspective, that we see a lot. That's just 500 error that we solve. But from business perspective, if clients see like some kind of errors, those errors, then like maybe client will be using another application, like similar application. So this business might lose the clients. So having your applications up and running all the time is crucial to businesses, and cloud can help you with that. So cloud, they have data centers like all over the world in different continents. And then you can have your app, and then big companies like implement their like failover strategy and etc. So basically, instead of having a set of servers that you manage, if that goes down, then you would lose the entire application. But if you use this cloud, then your applications are more available, and also it's more reliable. So what I mean by this reliable is like there's like thousands of there's transactions spike. You have thousands of transactions like spiked. So and then your application should scale instantly to handle those transactions. Because think about this. So transaction from business perspective, it could be something like placing an order. So that placing order, let's say like it's $10 or $20. In that case, every transaction that you receive is like business revenue, and like losing transaction, like if your application can't scale instantly and it loses those transactions, then it's from business perspective, you're losing lots of money. So with the help of the cloud, you can do that. And there are so many benefits as well. So for example, you can make applications more secure and performant. So there is a bunch of services, like security services, that you can stack up on top of your existing application. So you can stack up more security layers. And similarly, there are some services that boost your application performance. So these are the benefits that cloud provider provides. And then that's why these companies are like migrating their systems and building these cloud native applications. Now let's talk about why cloud is big. So this AWS cloud, they have 200 plus services. And you as a developer, and now like, maybe you already know that cloud is trending, and maybe you learned that after this slide, like, okay, this is something maybe I need to learn now. So in this case, like I am breaking down these 200 plus services. So there are so many types of services there, analytical and like blockchain, geography, like you name it. Like there are so many types of services. So first, let's talk about, so we all developers, so let's talk about services that, like, let's talk about services that we can deploy our application. So we are software developers and we want to deploy our application. So in that case, if you're deploying it in the cloud, then you have these 3 different models. Like these are the main ones, and there are more, but I am focusing on these 3 because these 3 are the most popular ones. So this is like I am focusing on the services where you can run your application. So first, let's talk about this IaaS model. So this infrastructure as a service. So in this case, what you do is like you rent a virtual machine from that cloud provider. So your application is running in virtual machines. So in AWS, it's known as EC2. So you have this. The other model that's like super popular is this container as a service model. So you wrote your application, and like using Docker, you wrote one image, and then that image you can run in containers. And all these cloud providers, they provide these container services. So that's what this second column is. And then the third one is, this is function as a service. So you have your code, grab your code, copy and paste, and then it would work just fine in the cloud. Like grab your code, like you write your code. So for example, in VS Code, and then paste it in the cloud, then it would run. So you don't need to worry about running servers. Your code is just runs in the cloud. And the biggest things are here. So like when we start this session, so I talked about that cloud providers, the experts, they deal with some of these technical tasks. So if you are using this IaaS model, then like you won't get much benefits. Like you would manage a lot of stuff. So you would be managing networking, operating system, and managing your, like installing dependencies libraries that's required for your app and its environment. So you would still manage a lot. Like it's very similar to like having your own on-premise system. And whereas this container as a service, you have your image, and like, so in a nutshell, you manage less things, but again, it depends whether like how you are running those containers. So in all cloud providers, there are 2 types. So there are 2 types to run your image. So first one, you can manage your own cluster, bunch of servers, and then run your images, or you can run without having those clusters. You can run that in a serverless manner. So like it depends, but you would manage fewer things. in terms of function as a service, so it only, so you will only write your business code, and the rest of the things is managed by the cloud provider. So this is here, and now is scaling. Let's talk about the scaling. So if you are using this ES model, then okay, there is transactions spike, and now you wanna, so there was one server and now you wanna add one more server. In that case, like scaling out, instantiating a new server will take a couple of minutes. Like it depends, like about a couple of minutes. In terms of container as a service, like it's faster. It would take a minute. But in terms of function as a service, like it can scale instantly. So there are more transactions, so it can scale out in 1 second. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like cost. So if you just rent a virtual machine and run your applications, that's the naive approach. So I don't recommend that. They're like these reasons. So you would manage more things. So in terms of scaling, it's not that good. And then also it will charge more. So you would pay for like every minute it will charge, plus there are some additional costs. So for example, your server will probably have one storage, and it will also charge for the storage separately. So it charges a lot. And then there's a service. So it depends if your cluster, like you have a cluster with a bunch of EC2 servers, or if you are running your image like in a serverless manner. So it depends. For function as a service, it's least expensive. It's least expensive. So for example, you have like one app that you are running in your virtual machine, and then there are like the same app you're running in ES model and FAST model. And then let's say that that app doesn't have any requests. Yeah, that app is not popular, doesn't have any. So in that case, ES model will charge every minute, whereas this function as a service, like it won't charge anything if there isn't any request. So it will charge if there is a request, and this is least expensive option. Okay, so this is like the way that you run your application code, and I highly recommend you to use this function as a service. And now here's my recommendations. So my first recommendation is focus on this model. Like start learning this function as a service, like the serverless services. Okay, so let's say pick one cloud provider, and then learn the most important core services. Like let's say in AWS there are 200 services, but you can only there are 20 most important services. So you like focus on those important services, and then just focus on one. If you can learn one cloud, then other clouds are similar. Like behind this, and they have all these similar concepts. So for example, if you wanna run container images, then all providers provide it. If you wanna run some code like without any server, then they all provide the serverless services. The second thing is, I have seen this a lot. So software developers, they learn cloud, and then like they immediately start using virtual machines, like ES model. That's the naivest way to get started. Like this is very similar to on-premise. It would charge more, you would manage more. So instead of that, okay, start your like own project and just focus on the serverless services so that you can feel the benefit of this. So serverless, why I am focusing on this is it's cost effective, it's easy to start, development is faster, and so on. Like there are so many benefits. And once you started developing your application using these serverless services, like once you broke that traditional mindset, and now you started using the serverless services, And then you would like with no gap go back to managing like virtual machines and configuring services. Like those are like hard works. Like let the cloud provider do that for you, and you just focus on your application. And then so this slide will be shared. So this website, so there is a link behind this text, so you can visit that. So that on that website, so I use that to learn like to prepare my certification. So you can also prepare for certificate, and then that's how you would start with the cloud. So this is what I recommend. So this is about cloud. So I give you some background. Now let's go back to our second topic, so which is about GraphQL. And I have seen that like many people raised their hands and many chats. Like I have a lot of things to discuss during this session in 1 hour. So I will talk them, and like feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, or like after this, like contact me on LinkedIn. So I shared my LinkedIn. So then if you have specific questions, then I can help you with that. So for now, I will not take it, like I'm going through the contents. So let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about what GraphQL is. So it's like similar to service. So once you use GraphQL once, then I don't think you will want to use REST API again. Okay, so GraphQL. So it's a query language for APIs. So it gives clients the power to ask for exactly what they need and nothing more. So that's what GraphQL is. And benefit is, this is the main benefit. So in your front end, so it just makes your front end code much cleaner and less complex. If you are using like regular this SOAP or REST API, then maybe in one page you make multiple API calls and then extract those data. And now your code is like variable. Your front-end code is variables. But with GraphQL, just make one API call, receive exactly what you need, and then so it like this is like what I see is this is the biggest benefit. So it makes your front-end code easier and it makes it less complex, and this is clean. And there is one best practice is like when I was preparing this seminar, I developed one project using this modern tool, this Amplify. And then this is what I like my best practice while doing that. So here, do as less as API calls from your front end. Like make one call and then receive all your data. I will tell you why. So for example, I did my project and I deployed my backend on the other side of the planet in Asia. So I am in the US. I deployed my site in Asia, and then making one API call that takes about 1 second because that latency is inevitable. So this is your backend is on the other side of the planet. Like you have that the farthest distance, so you will have this 1 second latency for one call. So you would never notice that if you are like doing everything in your local machine. Like in your local machine, you have your backend and you have front end, and you can even make API call inside for loop. You would never notice, but in real life, if you deploy your backend, then one API will cause that latency. So that's what this best practice is. And now GraphQL addresses this issue. So happily, like I was using GraphQL in my project. So then I get all the required data for that page with only one API call. So hence, like it improves performance. Like if I was using regular REST API, then maybe I need to call multiple times, and that will increase. Like one API call increases 1 second. Two API call, loading your page, it will become 2 seconds. So that clients can't afford. So that's the thing. And you can specify what attributes you need. So small data is transferred over the internet. Okay, I will show you this demo shortly. So bear with that. So let me tell you this component. So GraphQL. So after this slide, I will show you how GraphQL works in action. So GraphQL, the first thing you need, so the GraphQL is highly typed. So you have to specify its data type here. And first thing you define is like you define schema. So for example, this project entity will have these properties, and then it's also highly typed. You have to put the type here. Okay, the second thing is now your front-end web application is making API call, and then it's issuing this query. And this query, it's getting the project tagline by project name. Okay, so it specified the data, the column that front end requires. So it doesn't need all these attributes, it only needs this data. And then it requests that data. And as a result, you get this data, so that is shown here. And there is something called resolver there. So resolver is the function that's working, like when you issue a query, someone is processing, something is processing, the guy who is processing your query is known as resolver. Okay, so let me show you the demo. Okay, so in AWS, GraphQL implementation is AWS AppSync. So here is my sample app that, like this app is a simple blogging application that you can create a post, and in one post there can be like many comments and many reactions and all these attributes. So now notice here, so this is my query. So I want to get that post information, and I provided that post ID in here. Okay, I provide post and I want to get post. And now let's say, so we can manipulate this query. So this is a query that you would use from your client application. So first I'm getting this post and I only need this post, like the actual post. Let's execute this query. Okay, so let me log in once again. It seems like my session is expired. Okay, I logged in again. Okay, cool. This time it works. So what I did is, okay, I refreshed my session. So notice here. So I provided the ID and I received the post, the actual post. So this is my post and hello cloud and GraphQL. And now let's say that our client requires more data. Let's say like I might need user ID, and I also want to know like this post ID, and I also want to know this created date. So you can specify this like what column that you need. If we send this, it will generate data accordingly. So this is what I mean by like what they mean by this GraphQL. You request data and you get exactly what you want. And there are some relations here. So one post can have many comments. So you can also get these comments along with this post. Let's say, so I want to get post. I want to get comments. And in comment, so I want to only, so this is also one schema there, one type, the comment schema. So I can also specify the, like which attributes of this comment I want to read. So I need this comment, and I also want like okay, I'm going to comment. So in this, let's look at here. So we have our required data, and this and then this has a bunch of comments, and I already specified this column. And similar for reaction. Maybe if you want to get reaction, so you specify this. So that's basically how this GraphQL works. So like, think about this. If you use if you didn't use GraphQL, if you use traditional REST API, then you might make one API call for getting post, and then you would grab this post ID, and then you would request these comments. And then these comments would return all the attributes, like entire payload for that type. And then you have maybe in your front end, it only needs like this comment, then you have to extract data again. So you need to make multiple calls. So similar for reactions, let me show you that. So reaction is here. And inside this item, I only need this reaction type, and then ID, maybe when it's created. So here it's generating the query. And now if you notice, it's just one API call, and you issue this query from your client application. And in this query, you specify exactly what you need. And then it generates that data once. So it has one reaction or this. Okay, I hope it was clear. So let me move on. We move on to, so I showed this. So that's basically what GraphQL is. Let me talk about, move on to the next topic, which is AWS Amplify. So this is a comprehensive tool to build full stack web and mobile applications faster. So that's what Amplify is. Okay, so let me tell you, like this will help you to build a full stack application. So what do you need in your full stack app? Like what components you need? So I know for sure that so you are building one application, you probably need database. So database is here. So you need database, and in this Amplify, you have this component, and that uses this DynamoDB service in the AWS, so which is like sensor database. So you need database. Okay, you also need object storage to store some image, video, or files. So you need this in your application, probably. And in your application, so it's your application, you will probably have your like custom business logic that you can have, like you can, so this is the components of Amplify, and that you can do with Amplify. So you have your database, object storage, and your custom logic, your application code. And now next thing you probably need is, now you wanna make that, like you need an API, so your front end can contact this, or maybe like third-party APIs. So you can create API with this tool again. So that can be like GraphQL API and REST API. So basically, you wrote your application in serverless function in AWS, like using this Lambda, and plus, like this is your business logic, and behind there is your database, and optionally you can have this storage. And now you are making your application an API using this. And you would also need user management. Like in your app, there would be a user for sure. And when user sign in, when user enter name and password, then you need a service like API that creates, like issues token for that user. And using that token, you want to secure your API, right? So you would probably need this user management. That service is also, and that you can also do with Amplify. And then in your application, you can also have like CDN, so which is content delivery network. So let's say you deploy your front-end app like somewhere, and front-end app is a bunch of static files, JavaScript and CSS files. and you want to deliver that to deliver to all your users in all over the world. So you can use this CDN tool. So that would make your front end, maybe the static content delivery faster. So all these tools, like you would need these components in your app, and those are like resources that you can create with this tool. So without this tool, I can just go ahead and create these resources one by one in the cloud and then combine it all together. So I can do this, but this is like something all the apps need. All the apps need database, all the app needs this API. So they created this tool for you. So that will help a lot. So, and then with this tool, it also can create CI/CD pipeline for your application. Okay, that's what Amplify is. Okay, let's do the demo right now. I'm gonna build, I'm gonna set up one full stack application, okay, from scratch. So basically, this is a tool that helps you to write a full stack application using that serverless model, that fast model. So let's go back to here. So you can go to docs.amplify.aws. If you go to this, like the documentation is updated and brand new, and it's pretty good. So first, there are two ways to build your backend API. So first thing, you can do this with something called Studio, Amplify Studio. So this is a newer feature. Before that, so that's what this is. So you can build your backend application using this tool, and in this tool, you just drag and drop your backend application, like drag and drop, create tables, create the specified table, and then it will create backend API for you. So this is UI Dream, so much easier. Okay, or you can just type it, just a few commands, and then it can create backend API for you. And not only creating backend, so it can also help you to connect your front-end application with the backend. So that you can also do with CLI. So I'm going to demonstrate both. So this is like two ways to achieve one thing. So you can use Studio and CLI. Now let's go to here. So I already created one Studio demo app. So I'm logged into what Amplify Studio is. It's like brand new app. Now the only thing you need is like, okay, you probably need a database. So let's say it's here, it's posts. So so we have this post table in our database, and this would have an ID. And then the actual post itself. And then maybe you can have username. Okay. So we created this, okay, they use this post table. And then let's add another model called comments. And comments will have comment. And okay, you can also have username, the user who commented. And you can add relationship here. So for example, okay, let's add that in here. So one comment, okay, it was on the other side. One post can have many comments. So I am specifying that relation. So you can achieve the same result I demonstrated. Like in my demo, I selected, I was able to pull comment along with post. That's like something related to this. So you can specify this. So here, there is relations here. So one post can have many comments called reactions. And here, let's say like reaction type. It could be like or heart or some other emoji. So, and that's it. Like you can add other attributes as well. So for now, like for the sake of the simplicity, so in this demo, I'm having these three tables. So I can also specify the relation here. So reactions table, and one post can have many reactions. Okay, that's how you. So you would go ahead and create an app, and then using this studio, you would specify your table information, and then this is UI driven. When you hit this button, it will do the magic for you. So it will create these tables for you. So it will create these tables in the cloud, and then it will generate, it will make it a GraphQL API, and it will generate all those schema and functions like resolvers. It's all automatically created. Okay. So that's one thing you can do. And let me show you that. So this is like one way. The other way is using CLI. Let me show you that part. I created one demo app here. So this is Amplify. Okay. Demo. So I created this demo app using create react tool. So basically this is like when you type this command, npx create react app, and then app name. So basically install Node.js, and then type here npx create react app. So it's a tool library that initializes your React application. It creates React application, like exactly what its name suggests. So I did that, and then it created app like this. Okay. And second thing that I have prepared, I did before this demo is I installed npm install AWS Amplify, because that's the tool that we would use in our app. So I did this, I executed these two commands before this demo. And after that, you would have this, and I customized the main JavaScript file here. And if we go back to demo, then this app is up and working. And then now what I will do is, like I will create that backend, that post, and I will create that backend now, and then I will set this up. Okay, so this app is here. So if you look at this package.json, this is where dependencies are. So I installed this dependency up front. Okay, so now this is just your front-end application, just empty React project. So cd to that, and then what you need to do is, okay, so that's your first step. So first, create this React app. Okay, the next thing is go to its documentation, go to Amplify documentation, and then there is installation page here. Like follow these steps. So it will, so if you follow this, so here you can configure this Amplify CLI. So when you, basically what it does is it creates one user in your AWS account, and using that user's tokens, when you execute commands here, so it would use that user token and create resource in the cloud. So follow these steps and set up your configure your Amplify. So that's also one thing that I did right now. So I already have this set up. Now what I need to do is I'm on that project. In Amplify initialize, I'm initializing a new project. I enter here. Okay, and then it will ask you a bunch of questions. So what is, enter your project name. So our project name is Amplify Demo. So I am fine with that. And then it also shows like this would be the application name, and this would be the environment, so the div environment, and it would be using, like it recognizes, like it React, this project is React, and this is app type is going to be JavaScript. So you will be prompted this. So I am fine with all this configuration. Just hit yes. and here, and now it's asking authentication method you want to use. So this is authentication method. So with this authentication, you can create those resources in the cloud. So configure this following this configuration, this page. So I already configured this is AWS profile. So I do this, and I already have this default profile. I'm going to use this. And now it's initializing the project, the backend in the cloud using the user that I already set up. Okay, so it's creating that. Okay, meanwhile, okay, it shouldn't take that long. Let's wait this. So it will ask you. So basically, this Amplify, what it does is like, it asks some question from you. So you answer this, and then it will create all the required resources in the cloud for you. Okay, basically, okay, it finished initializing my application. So I initialized my project. Now I will do my second command, which is amplify add. So I probably need an API, right? So I have front-end app here. I need one backend API. So it's going to be a full stack app. So I'm going to add amplify add API. Similarly, if you need that storage for storing image, video, then you can put amplify add like storage, or if you need like custom logic, then you can add amplify add and resource name. So this is like amplify add and type the component that you need in this project. So I'm gonna do amplify add API, and it's asking if it's GraphQL or REST API. So I'm gonna put GraphQL, and it's gonna use API key by default. So for authentication of this API, so I'm fine with that, and continue. And here it's asking you, like there are some templates. So I'm gonna use this template, or just, I already prepared one, maybe I can just, so it's asking like, do you want to change your template? So basically what this template is doing is like, we defined our structure here with UI drive. Similarly, you can just use this CLI and put like what tables that you need. Okay, so here it has blog, so I don't need blog. Let me change this. Okay, I need post. I need comment. So in post, we need post here, and I remove this and comments here. Okay, just this is like similar thing. I'm doing it using CLI, and so when we do that amplify init, so it created these folders for you, this amplify folder, and you can read it like from the documentation later. But the main part is, the most important part is this amplify, and backend this is schema.GraphQL. So this is the schema that what you need to store in your application. So we need post. Okay, you can add other tables here. So let me double check here. Post and content. Okay, looks good to me. So I'm gonna create this API. So this is our design, and what we need is amplify push. Okay, now this is pushing, and this. So it's creating that resource in the cloud. So it's asking that we are going to create this API in the cloud. So yes, that's what I want. Okay, so it's uploading it. And it's also the best thing about Amplify is, so you have to, so it can also generate a query for you. So GraphQL query. So GraphQL query, we have seen that we need to issue that token. We need to issue that query and run it against our, so it can generate it automatically. Okay, so I like this pre-generated ones and hit enter, and notice here, so this GraphQL, so it will create this resource and it will create all those scripts for me. So using this script, I can use that script and I can call my backend API. So basically, this is a tool that you can create all the required components for your app in AWS Cloud, and it also full stack tool, so it can also generate some scripts that you can directly use in your front-end application. So it's creating those resources in the cloud. So let's wait for a second, like for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, I have one slide about Nosql and DynamoDB. So in the poster, I think you have seen React and DynamoDB and GraphQL. So let me elaborate on this Nosql. So Nosql, so if your app needs hyperscaling, then you can use Nosql. So DynamoDB, which is NoSQL database in AWS Cloud, so that supports trillions of transactions a day. Okay, so NoSQL database, they are hyperscaling and they are also performant. So this is when you add something, update something, it takes only 2-digit millisecond, but not only, it's super fast. Not only that, you can add an accelerator in front of your database in DynamoDB table. So its latency is even microsecond. So it's performant. So developing applications using NoSQL is like faster because there is no schema. So you can add any columns. So traditional SQL database, we have to update schema first, then add this. But NoSQL, you can just define the key and then use it. And this is less management, like this DynamoDB. Like you just create a table, hit one button. So that takes about, like in 10 seconds, you can create your table. And then everything, so you don't need to think of how you would manage your database service. So you don't need to think of that. Just create table and store it. So this less management. And also NoSQL databases tend to be cheaper because you don't need that huge instances. Instead, like it runs on a distributed system and it runs on many servers. So with like regular SQL, you have one big database instance. If that goes down, then you will lose entire application. But in NoSQL, it runs on a distributed system, so it's like more fault tolerant. And there is also one thing that many developers argue that like NoSQL doesn't support transactions like rollback. Like theoretically, that's true, but last 2 years, like last 5 years, these cloud technologies improved drastically. And now, so for example, cloud DynamoDB in AWS Cloud, they support transactions, so you can roll back if there is something went wrong when updating one of the tables. So it supports transactions. And then there are so many other powerful features related on this DynamoDB, so such as global table. So basically you can create table in 3 different regions. And when you insert data, let's say in Europe, then that data is replicated in 2 other regions, like near real time. And you also have this streaming feature. So this like streams all the data changes, and then you can capture it, the data, and then maybe using this streaming, you can export your NoSQL data to some other data source, let's say like data lake. And then now you have that data lake, and then you can normalize your NoSQL data exported by NoSQL, and then you can do analysis using SQL. So there are so many services out there in AWS Cloud. Basically, you would store this data in NoSQL because this like hyperscaling much cheaper. And if you need if you want to do analysis, that's possible by using analytical services. So you export your data in NoSQL table to somewhere else, and then you can normalize it, and then you can run SQL query on that data. So basically nowadays, like this trend, how it's going is you have these transactional apps that just do transaction. And then if you need some analytical, then you can export your data and do it using like some other tools. So like this analytical certain data, they are like separated out. Okay, cool. Okay, everyone, notice here. So we gave it the most important file in this, like we do initialize, and then we define this our table name here, like what tables we need. And then we wrote Amplify push that created the tables in the AWS cloud. And also it created the API for us. So this is the API up and working. And this is API key that we can call. Okay, notice here, so I wanna elaborate like how this Amplify helps your application development. So if we go to console, so let me go to console. So we are working on this region. So this is AWS console. So let's say that you need DynamoDB, like you need database. So you need this, so you can go to this and create your resource, and you also need API. So in this case, it's AppSync, so which is GraphQL. So you can go to all these separate services, and then you can create everything one by one, and then you can connect this manually. So that takes time, but Amplify, it creates this automatically. Now notice here, if you look at these tables, and then, so that table is created. So for example, we created this reaction table. Okay, so this has no data, so I think the first two. Okay. These are the tables has been created. And also, so this is what we did from our console, demo, app MIU, and the environment was dev. So this is our API, and it created this AppSync API. It generated that all schema, like schema for our GraphQL API. So thank you to AWS, thank you to cloud. So we learned about, like when we learned about GraphQL, we learned that, but this is something that you don't need to do. So this is something that AWS do it for you, and that's like what you see here. So it created those templates here. And in the data source, so we have these 3 tables here. So we have comment and post reaction. And then, okay, 1 second. Seems like the other one was, yeah, this one was the one. Okay, this is the one that we created. So schema is generated, and data source, like we only have 2 tables, right? If you look at here, we have 2 tables. So this was the one. And then function. So when you send a query, so this is the one who is processing that query, GraphQL query, and resolving the data based on these data sources. And now just let's check. Okay, let's check. So this API is already created. So you can call this API using these links, but I will use this tool here. And let's, so mutation, let's add here. Let's create one post here. You need to provide this post information. Okay, my post. And then, so after registration, I need ID. And then if we save it, okay, this save it, our API is working. And now let's go back to query here. In our query, let's get, so we have got this ID. Grab this ID and list this post. Here we need to provide, okay, just call this list method. This post. Okay, this is our GraphQL query, and inside this we need post ID. So let's list this. And as you see here, so it lists those posts. So we are done developing creating our tables and developing API. So this is like how you can do it. Like just a couple of minutes, you can do this API. And now let's connect this with our React app. So what you need to do is I prepared this code snippet. I'm gonna use this. So it's already past an hour, so I'll make it a bit quick. So, okay, basically, so notice here, this Amplify, they generated like this, okay, this query that you need to issue from your application, like client application. So this query is generated by Amplify, and that you see here. So we are query, and there is these posts, and then we are like, we will console log out the data from server. So I already have this. Let me save this and check our app. I need to start this up. Okay, this was compiling. Okay, let me close this. Yeah, start. And this Amplify, they provide this library like API. So by using this API, like this Amplify already has this API instance. Using this library, you can call your backend, and it auto generates this AWS exports automatically for you, and then it enters like API key and link for you. Like they generate these queries for you and all this, like automatically. And then we look at our database. But this is starting. Let me do one thing. New window. Open this. Okay, this is like the same app here. Let me run this up. Like the same code. Okay, start. Okay, so this one successful. And if we inspect here, then we are logging out the result. And if you look at here, then it's logging out the result. So it's calling the backend, and it's calling the backend, and those like AWS export this information, like you like regular app, you hard code these values yourself. But in this case, if you use Amplify, so this URL, all this will be generated automatically. And then also like this GraphQL query, like if you didn't have this Amplify library, then you have to manually create
Please,
this.
could I ask
for
one
you.
question?
Yes.
When you open your Google app on your laptop, you put the F12, yes?
I put what?
Press your at your keyboards F12 bottom in your keyboard for this data. Every website when I using my Google on my laptop, I always press this, and I watch the command window, and when you generate a link, that's details that we chose it from our AWS.
Yes. So AWS, like you, the only thing is here. Okay. So the only thing, so it will in your backend. So you have to you only need to specify what tables you need, and then write one command. Then it will create all those underlying resources for you, and then this is the link.
This link for open the website or application.
This is for your backend, like backend API URL.
Backend.
Yeah, and then not only that, Amplify also generates these files for you. Like you don't need to type, copy and paste your URL. Like it's automatically generated, and all these queries also automatically generated. So you can like zero code. Basically, you can use like this library prepares everything for you. Okay, that was the here. Let's go back here. So this is how typical application to Amplify look like. So you have user, and then here it will go to that. So let's say that if you hosted your web app on S3, like hosted app here on S3, so this is service that you can host your app, and then you are distributing. You can distribute your front-end app all over the world using this CloudFront service. And basically, how it's running is your app is here, and then it's calling the backend API, in this case AppSync, and AppSync is that in our case, so we have this application calling this API, and then this AppSync has this database directly on the database. But if you want to have your custom logic, then you can have this Lambda functions, and then you can also have this user management services here. That's how it looks like. And I think that's pretty much it. I was planning to talk about React, but we didn't have much time, but let me summarize this. First, cloud is inevitable and has many benefits. So keep learning and using it, and just focus on this serverless and low-code software development. It's a great choice for small businesses and side projects. So serverless, go with serverless. And then infrastructure as code, that's how you manage these resources in the cloud. So you write one template, so reading that template it creates. So basically you write template something like this, and then reading this template is creating.
Can you give the slides for everyone?
Yes, I will share this everyone. Okay. And
do you want from me to write my email Google?
Yes, like if you have questions, then you can email it to me.
This is my email on chat, and okay. I want to ask you for
this. Okay, this presentation will be shared with you all. So you have my LinkedIn is here, and you can also send me email. So my email is here. Okay. So Renuka will share this slide with you, and here. The only two slides that I couldn't cover is like about React and best practice. Like this is something I couldn't finish this, but you can find it from this slide. So here, basically what I put is like, if you are learning React, then I put the most important concepts here, like main concepts. Okay, so this is slide. So yeah, like feel free to contact me.
Okay, thank you. Unubold. Yeah, so maybe do you have time to answer the questions?
I have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So guys, if you have a question, you can ask for 2 minutes now.
Please show me again your email.
Sure. Yeah. You can again. So this presentation will be shared with you all. So at the last slide, you can find my email.
So
can you put it on a chat session?
Okay,
Unubold
sure.
now?
Yeah. Okay. I can do that right now.
Sir, thank you for your presentation. It's really helpful to, especially for the beginner. Could you please briefly, what is it? Put the headlines for the beginners who want to learn the cloud computing, where they should start?
Yes, that was in the slide. Like again, focus on the core services. Like all providers has like 100 services, but the main services are like the most common 20 services. Like there are 20 services that you need to learn. Once you got that, like, that's like the fundamental services. And then focus on this serverless. And there is a bunch of like, you can also prepare for the exam. So that's the third tip I'm giving you. And like in this seminar, like let me summarize once again. So there was too many things I understand. So use cloud, like use serverless services. So cloud provider experts will do those technical works for you. Okay, serverless. And then the second thing is like this Amplify tool. In this Amplify tool, what you do is basically you give just table, it generates all those resources in the cloud automatically. Like you type one command and then it creates everything for you. And not only that, it also creates some scripts that will help you to connect your front end and back end. So basically, this demo, like this app, this is Amplify is well documented. So go to Amplify documentation and follow those step-by-step instructions. And if you do that right now, I'm sure I can guarantee that you can finish this example in 1 hour. So basically, you can have full stack app set up in an hour.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.